Welcome. This is Suzanne.
Lauri.
Susan. Roxie.
And we are Three Old Broads and a Lady. Hi, this is Suzanne.
This is Lauri.
This is Roxie.
And this is Susan. And today we're going to talk about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. But really, when you talk about victory and defeat, it's really about your expectations, right? It's about how you view the world. Do I think things are going to be successful? Or do I think things are going to be disasters? Or when you do have a thrilling victory, do you go, oh, well, it could have been better? Or do you say, oh, I was just defeated, but next time I will rise from the ashes? And actually, research has said that people our age, boomers, used to be very optimistic in their outlook about things. But in recent years, they've gotten a little more pessimistic, especially about their finances and the future. But boomers are still optimistic about just like their daily life, as opposed to other generations who tend to be more gloomy about their daily life and themselves. Boomers are positive about their own personal abilities and their own personal accomplishments, whereas other generations tend to be more downers about that. So it's a good thing that we're optimistic, but apparently we're getting a little more pessimistic over the years.
Well, that has to do a lot when you mentioned finances. I heard this guy the other day say a lot of us boomers, people at our age, are worried because we could possibly live to be over 100. And that's just lately. Not a lot of people 10 years ago were living to 100. It was amazing if they did. Willard Scott used to be on the Today Show and talk about every now and then somebody turning 100 like it was a big deal. Now it isn't so big. And they were talking about how your finances, you don't want them to run out while you're still around. Because, all of a sudden you find out you're, 92 years old and you don't have any money left. So you have to keep it up and, keep investing, keep doing stuff if you can. And that's kind of a scary proposition because the older you get, the harder it is to get up and go work somewhere or anything like that. So I think that might be part of the pessimistic. And it's funny because, look, I get to live to be 100. Oh. I'm going to run out of money when I'm 90. So that might color the attitude there a little.
I think there's an element of pessimism because of your age. You've been waiting in line longer than anybody else. You've had people cut you off in traffic longer than anybody else. I mean, anything that's kind of negative that happens on a constant basis has happened to you for 73, 74 years, okay? So there's a little bit of pessimism. I don't like to stand in line anymore. Before, it didn't bother me at all. It'd be like, oh, there's, just take 2 hours to get on this ride at Disneyland. Yeah, okay. Now I'm like, oh my God, there's 3 people in line. I'm not going to go stand in that line.
Now, see, I'm actually the opposite of that. I used to be like, oh, I can't stand this traffic. I can't stand this or anything. And now I just go, okay, if I gotta wait, I gotta wait.
To that, too.
Why be in a rush about anything? I was thinking about it today that I was going to be late to our water aerobics class today. And
you were.
Yes, I was. I was late, and I knew I was going to be late. And so that was getting me all tense. And I was going, oh, I've got to hurry. And then I went, no, I know I'm going to be late. So don't rush yourself. Don't get your knickers in a bunch. Just give in to the fact that it was my defeat for the day. Talking about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. My defeat was that I didn't quite get to water. I got to water aerobics, so that was a victory. But I got there late, which was a defeat. But I said to myself, just let it go. Don't let it get you. You're going to be late. If you rush, who knows what will happen. You'll fall or you'll do this or something tragic will happen.
because you started rushing over something like being late to water aerobics class?
Well, I usually don't have any place to go, so it doesn't matter how long it takes me to get there. So I just show up. And of course, I was late today to get here. But not 5 minutes? Was that about 5 minutes?
15 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, you were late.
That was me trying to park, though. I mean, I got there 5 minutes late, and then it took me 5 minutes to park the car. Okay.
I'll give you half my calendar, and then
Yeah.
I won't be so tense.
I think that is part of it, though, that most of the time we don't have any place in particular to be. It's like, I don't have to be there right at, this minute. There's appointments you have to make, but you just sort of allow extra time for those. I usually do. It's like, I can leave now. And but, I think it's just letting go of some of the things. I saw somebody at a driving school thing some years ago. I haven't had to go to driving school in a long time, but she said, when you're late, if you're 5 minutes away, if it's 5 minutes time left and you're 10 minutes away, you're not late yet. So don't get excited yet. Wait until you've really actually missed the deadline, then you can get excited. Because driving really fast isn't going to get you there in time anyway. So, I thought, well, that makes sense.
But you can get farther in that minute
I know.
if you drive faster.
Or you can have a terrible accident and not get there at all. So it's like,
That's true, too.
I know that when I drive someplace, I allow like 10 extra minutes for every 10 extra miles that I have to go, because I'm thinking, even if you're driving carefully, even if you're following all these limits, there's a lot of room and a lot of cars and a lot of stupid people between you and where you're going, and somebody's going to do something dumb.
They get stupider every year.
And maybe in front of you. You don't want
Right
to do
in
that.
front of you.
Right
I'd
in-
rather have them in front of me than behind me. In front of them, I can see who they are and what all the crazy things they're doing. If they're behind me, they're going to come up and crash behind me or whatever, and I don't even know what's happening.
Oh, well, today, that kind of happened to me today. I was on Colima, which has got all that construction. And I knew I had to get over into the right lane. And there was this gigantic truck trailer thing. I did not want to get behind the truck trailer. I wanted to get in front of it. So I scooched my way in. He didn't like it. And I look in my rearview mirror, and all I see is the grill on the car, on the truck. And I thought, it was Dennis Weaver in Duel. It's like,
So was that a defeat or was that a victory
I
for
would
you?
say it was a victory, but
It could have been.
could have been a tragedy in the making.
Could have been a pretty pirate victory.
Could have
That's
been
big
I mean,
defeat.
crushed under the wheel wells and
Right.
never be heard from again.
Yes. Were you going uphill or downhill at the time?
At this particular time, I was going uphill.
Oh, good. Well, that's a good
That's
point.
not as bad.
Well, no, I when I worked at Sears, one of the guys in the room, he used to drive the big trucks in and drop stuff off at the catalog thing. He said, never cut in front of a truck going downhill. You don't know if he has any brakes at all. And I said, oh. And I've never forgotten that. So, yeah, but going uphill, he...
Well, so speaking of victories or defeats, what has anybody had in their lives that they could call a victory or a defeat in general?
I have one
Yes.
that actually involves both things.
Ah.
I was in the third grade, and they decided to teach us about democracy. So we had a class president and a vice president and a secretary. You can imagine a third grader taking minutes, and then we had a treasurer because we were supposed to bring in our nickels and dimes because we would save the money and give it to charity because it was a Catholic school. So, that's what we did. And so, we did our little election, and every Thursday we would have our get-together and then call the meeting to order and all this stuff. And the secretary would read back the minutes and et cetera, et cetera. Well, in order to get voting in as part of the, democracy deal, we would do speeches. And we had 64 kids in the class, so you only had one round. You got one chance to do a speech. Not that anybody ever wanted to do one, but we did have that. And the vice president was in charge of that. And she would call out at the end of each week who was going to do it next, who was going to do the speeches the next week. So I was sitting there, and we started the meeting, and he called to order. The secretary read back the minutes, and she said, last week we had speeches from, and then named the kids, and I went, uh-oh, I am supposed to give a speech today. I had a whole week to prepare, and I totally forgot. So they had us go out in the hallway, like we always did, the 4 kids that were going to go to the speeches, and all have their little cards, to do their speeches.
Except for you.
I had nothing. And I thought, what am I going to say? And I was panicking and, just staring into the maw of defeat. And I thought, God, this is going to be awful. So I went out in the hall, and I said, look, I'm going last. And this other boy says, no, I want to go last. I said, no, you have your speech. It's in your hand. I don't have anything. I'm going last. So I felt pretty good about telling him that. Because I thought, I'm not going to back down. Are you crazy?
Showed real leadership there.
Yes.
You might run out of time.
Yeah. So so they have the first speech, and they read their little cards, and I'm standing in the hallway going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, we had just gone to Knott's Berry Farm for my sister's birthday. So I thought, I'll talk about Knott's Berry Farm. Every kid in the class had been to Knott's Berry Farm, so it's like big deal, and they didn't have any rides in those days particularly. They had pony rides. They didn't have the other stuff. So I said, well, this is all I got. And so I thought, well, I don't have any cards, but I have fingers. So I said, okay, introduce what I'm going to talk about some of the things that we did, focus on one particular instance, where did we go to eat, and then wrap it up. And I put my hand behind my back, and then I put my other hand behind my back, and I would grab each finger as I went by, as I hit the mark on those things. And it says, and now I'm going to introduce Lauri, and she's going to come and talk about her trip to Knott's Berry Farm. And 60 kids are in there going, oh. So immediately I'm thinking, this is all I have, so forget it. So I go in and I start talking about it, and I get to the part about the one particular instance. I didn't weigh very much, and I'm small, and I'm, at the time. And so the donkey rides or the pony rides or whatever it was, this animal did not know that there was anybody on its back because it just wouldn't do anything. And then it decided to take off. I guess maybe it was mealtime. I don't know, for them. And it just started running. And I couldn't stop it. And it lapped the other people on the ride. And the guy that was supposed to be looking out for all of us, he has to ride up and, grab the reins, just like they would do in the movies or something. And so it was very exciting, and I must have told it in an amusing way because the kids are laughing their heads off. And then I, said, and we wound up eating boysenberry pie and fried chicken, and then we went home. And I said, thank you for your time, And so then we all go back out in the hall, in the hallway, and they passed out ballots, and everybody voted for who had the best speech. I won by miles, and I was just making it up. Lauri wins, and there it is. I was panic stricken, but I thought, I'm gonna do this, and it wound up being I was the big winner. And not only that, but I learned a valuable lesson. I learned I could give a speech. So later on in school and stuff, if we have this report to do and you have to give a speech, who cares? I can do that. So that's my thrill of victory.
So you also learned that you don't have to do your homework, too.
Yeah, pretty much.
My mother was concerned about that. I'll just wing it. Yeah. And don't think I didn't do that a few times, but still, it taught me a valuable lesson. So I thought, okay, I can do this. Some people, they had a survey one time, and more people would rather die than give a speech. And I thought, oh no, say that isn't so.
My daughter used to give presentations to. She did them for first responders. She was talking about psychology and stuff like this because they were at that time having a lot of difficulty with all the things they were having to first respond to, and so she was up there giving speeches, and I said, "Wow, honey, that's great." And she goes, it's nothing. She says, I was in junior theater. I can BS my way through anything. I said, well, good. It wasn't, it was, clinically correct, though, right? Oh, yes, of course. But,
Well, BSing your way through stuff is how I got a lot of good grades, because I was horrible with multiple choice, because I always thought the teacher was trying to trick me, right? So I would see the correct answer, but then I'd say, well, that might work too. And that might work too. And then I wouldn't know what to...
Right.
But I could bullshit my way through an essay. So when we had essay, I would do it. I had in college, in my political science class, I was trying to answer this one question, this one essay, and I went around and round, and I was rereading it back, and I'm like going, I don't know what the hell that says, but it sounds good. The teacher said the exact same thing to me. He goes, I don't know what the hell you were saying, but it sounded good.
It sounded really good. Yeah, well...
What did you do about footnotes?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I don't want to talk about footnotes.
We always had to have footnotes, and so I never had anything, and I want to put something at the bottom, and well, here it comes again. The Magnificent Seven. It says, McQueen, Steve, and there's a quote from the Magnificent Seven. I put that at the bottom of the page. It's like, okay. Well, did they really read them?
Evidently not.
Now, that was when I was in college. I
This
had
was
this
in high school.
Oh, well, when I was in college.
I was an art major in college, so it didn't matter.
This was when I was getting my teaching credentials, so I had to, get some extra classes. And there was this teacher that was, you could just tell they were so lazy, and they would just load us down with stuff. But then I never believed that they had actually read any of it. And so on the final exam, I don't know how I got so courageous to do this, because I wanted to pass the class. But on the final exam, it was like a big long essay that we had to write and everything. And right smack dab in the middle of that essay, I wrote, "You're not even reading this. This is a bunch of baloney, isn't it?" And I got an A in the class, so I still believe that he didn't read it. And he just looked, oh yeah, I already read the first sentence. And that's when I was teaching, that's what they told us to do when we assigned things. They said, just read the opening and the closing, make sure that they stated their thesis, and then they summed it up. And it was like, I could not do that. I had to read every single word that those kids wrote. And I couldn't believe that was something that they were actually telling us to do, because we didn't have time to do all of this. And it's like, if you don't have time to do that, then don't be an English teacher.
Yeah.
Or just come up with a different assignment.
Don't assign so much stuff. Yeah. No.
I always like to read them, because sometimes you got some really interesting answers. I don't mean interesting answers like, you're not even reading this, are you? But,
no, okay.
but they would have this viewpoint that I had never even thought of before, that they would come up with. And then I would always write in the margin and say, wow, that's a great idea. I never even thought of that. Well done, But nobody's going to say that to me if they're not reading my essay.
Yeah. Well, and it's probably gave you a lot of insight into the way some of their little brains work too. When you're reading it and going, "What? Oh,
yeah."
Oh,
I always thought essay questions were, like Suzanne says, they were sort of an opportunity as a teacher for the kids to just send back to me whatever they happen to have come through their brains, and sometimes if you gave them fill in the blanks or multiple choice, that there was maybe a whole store of things inside there that they had actually learned that they weren't able to express to me because of the fact that I didn't give them.
Because it was all this tight little structure.
Yeah.
I know when I remember in college, one of our professors always used to give us the choice of, you could have an essay question in class or an open book exam. You could take the book home and bring it back the next day, And all these kids are going, oh man, open book. And I'm like, are you nuts? You're going to have to read the book.
You're going to have to read till you find the answer.
You're going to have to go through there, and they know where the answers are, and you don't. I said, take the essay. Gosh.
Right.
No, though, I knew multiple choice. I was in 4th grade, and we had this science curriculum at school, and it went all through 3rd through 8th grade. It was the same company. They did the test the same way. they had true, false, multiple choice, fill in the blank, and something else. And the thing is, you're taking the test, and the true, false was always first. And then you're filling in the blank, and you go, wait a minute, that was on the true, false. So you go back to true, false, and you find the word that you have to put in the blank. And multiple choice was the same way.
Oh.
Now, some of the questions were different, but you could not fail it at all. You could not fail those tests if you knew that trick. And so I did that all the time. But I liked science, so I actually studied for the test. But still, you'd be going back and forth around through the test. Oh, true, false over here, fill in the blank. And then a multiple choice was really easy too, because she said, well, that's over here in the fill in the blank, so this has got to be the right answer. So you could not fail. And my sister and we shared a bedroom. She figured it out too, only she figured it out 2 years before I did. Why didn't she clue me in? I had to figure it out myself. And when they graduated, had their little graduation ceremony to go to high school, they're passing out all these awards. They said the science award goes to my sister Karen. And I'm laughing my head off. And this was in church, by the way, and we all got together in church. I'm like, oh, this is funny. And my mom's going, what's so funny? Tell you later, Mom, and so we go over, and Mom and Dad are so proud, science award, wow. And I'm looking at my sister going, well, should I tell him? Or should you? And so we talked later, and she says, yeah, I figured that out too.
And she looked at you like, don't you dare say a word. This is my award.
Science award.
No matter how ill-gotten it was.
So that was kind of a thrill of victory, but there wasn't a whole lot of defeat. Once you figure it out, you can't lose.
No, anytime you could outsmart a test or a teacher or some other smarty in the class, it was like, yes.
Yeah. I had an English instructor up at Rio Hondo, and I loved what she did when she would correct my essays, going through and marking everything, but I got tired of the little circles around the commas, and then I got paranoid about where do I put a comma. So this one paper, I didn't put any commas at all. And she wrote on the bottom, "Are you boycotting commas?"
Well, she was reading your whole thing.
But you're making me paranoid.
She must have loved your essays if she was playing with you on the, how
And
you
she read all the way
it.
through.
Yes, so you were probably one of. When I used to read the essays, I would put my favorite students at the bottom.
Oh, to make you read.
Well, not
Save them
not
for
that
last.
to savor them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I read the little short answers and the little, the kids that I didn't expect that much. But the ones that I always knew were going to say something pithy, or something interesting, or unique, or something like that, I would save them for last, because then I could just sit there and I could just enjoy those essays. Those students gave me joy, where the other ones were like, okay, I'm just going to.
Well, that was the thrill of victory. That was
It was. It was my. It was
I am
my.
teaching and they are learning.
It was my award, right?
Yeah, I seem to have all defeats.
Sorry,
So what defeats? Tell us about some of your agonizing defeats.
Well, being, boycotting commas was one of them. But, I don't know. I couldn't even think of anything. I could think, the only victory that I ever could think of was making it through the AIDS ride from San Francisco to Los Angeles. And I was sick. I was really sick. They pulled me off one day because they thought I had pneumonia. But I made it. I made it all the way to L.A. But I felt defeated because they pulled me off.
Mm.
I didn't ride.
What was this to say it once more? What it was?
The AIDS ride from San Francisco to Los Angeles.
Was it motorcycles or
No,
cars,
bicycle.
or- Bicycle. Oh, shucks.
Bicycle.
Okay.
And they thought you had pneumonia.
Yeah.
You must have been wheezing like a man.
Yeah, I had a heck of a time going up the hills.
I bet.
And then on top of that, I had a mountain bike. People were passing me on these 10-speed bikes that are like this big and weigh like 3 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm on this mountain bike that weighs like 805 pounds. I'm trying to go up these hills. but I would pass them all going down.
Going down.
Because they'd be going, shaking, and I would just.
Kind of goes along with Raiders of the Lost Math.
That's right.
Speaking of physical activities that we wanted to talk about as far as our defeats. When I was much younger, this was before I had children, so that shows how much younger I was since my children are in their 40s. My husband and I moved to New York City, and we lived right down on Bleecker Street, down in Greenwich Village. And one day we went to to Central Park, and we said, we are going to rent some roller skates, and we're going to skate all over Central Park. And, I love to roller skate. As we've talked about before, I used to roller skate all over the neighborhood in my youth. But when we got on those roller skates, we didn't realize that Central Park, it has many hills and valleys in it, and no rails or anything like that. So we got on some horrible hills where we were going down so fast, and we're careening around these corners and everything like that. And I thought we were going to die. We fell down and hurt ourselves a couple times, but we eventually, did not kill ourselves, and so we considered it an advantage and a victory. But it was like horrible when I thought, oh, this is going to be such a lovely, wonderful, fun thing to do, and it was a nightmare instead. It was terrible.
But you persevered and you got through.
I did. I persevered and I got through.
Well, physically, I think that the thing I can be proudest of is that I was in sixth period gym for 4 years without ever once being on an actual team.
Well, sixth period was for all the athletes.
That's right. It was for all the athletes, and then they would go and, compete somewhere. And I managed not to be on one single varsity team in the entire time. But I took the first aid class, and I was on the B tennis team. Somebody reminded me of that. And I also managed to avoid field hockey, even though that was one of the rec things that they usually made you do. I said I'm not getting out on that field with a bunch of girls with those hockey sticks in their hands. I said no. But anyway, so that was my pride and joy, was that I managed to get all the way through that without ever once being tossed out for not being on a varsity team or not being good enough to be on a varsity team.
My 1 year at Sierra, my junior year, that was the only year that I went to Sierra, I had to play field hockey.
Oh.
I hated that game. I mean, I don't know how many times I got clubbed in the head with those sticks.
It's a mean
I
game.
can't believe they let us have those hockey sticks out there, because people were always whacking each other.
Yeah, and it was always people that didn't like each other. Yeah.
Well, and you had your gym shorts and your little gym blouse on, but they didn't give you like shin guards or anything like that.
No.
There was nothing.
We over at St. Paul, you see, you were at Sierra playing the hockey sticks, but we couldn't afford hockey sticks, so we just played soccer.
Yeah.
But it was a particularly rainy year in sophomore year, and it was easy to figure out why the city was called Santa Fe Springs, because it's just like puddles,
Water
lakes,
everywhere.
and we would get so muddy. We would get into the shower with our gym clothes on because we were so muddy.
Okay.
So we had to wash them off. Anyway, and that was not necessarily a defeat or a victory, but we had optimism about it, because we could stand there and say, well, at least it isn't field hockey.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't ever remember playing soccer there. Softball, yes, but not soccer.
Yeah, it might have been junior year when you were elsewhere.
Yeah. Wait, was that the alarm?
That was the alarm.
Oh, boy.
I know. Well, we were having so much fun. We'll have to do this again.
We never got around to saying whether we were glass half full, glass half empty, or optimistic or pessimistic.
Well, you know
all
what?
the things we learned.
I had a cartoon that I had in my fridge for years that showed the 4 stages or the 3 stages of that, because it's the guy with the glass. He goes, "This glass is half full," and the other guy goes, "This glass is half empty," and the third guy goes, "Hey, I ordered a cheeseburger." And I think I'm the cheeseburger guy.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
Okay, sorry, I just have to say, all those little thumps that you hear throughout this, that was Roxie
That
with
was
her
me.
hands.
Oh, I didn't hear a single thump. I was
That's
talking.
because you're hitting the.
That's
See that? Every time you hit that, there's a noise that happens.
I apologize, but
so, unfortunately we all speak with our hands. So I'm like trying to keep mine under my armpits, but you know.
Well,
well.
I'm doing this.
Yes,
Yes.
I know.
So apologize.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's right. The agony of defeat, as far as this it's concerned, and
I think you have to care for it to be the agony of defeat.
so that's the actual thing.
That's the actual
We
thing.
can't think of any big defeats
Yeah.
or big victories because we really don't care.
Yeah, well, actually, one of us does because I'm doing post-production.
I'm
so-
sorry. I'm sorry, Suzanne. Okay.
All right. So I guess join us next time, please.
And tell your friends.
And again, we won't tell you what we're talking about because we have no idea. Until then, this is Suzanne.
And this is Lauri.
This is Susan,
This is Roxie.
and we are
Three Old Broads and a Lady.